what is up, fam? Today I have a fun episode for you because I'm going to be going over what is one of the biggest complaints I get from people wanting to get started investing in real estate. Now, I ask a lot of people, what is stopping you from getting started investing in real estate? And for most people, the answer is money, which I completely understand. I was right there with you. Literally in 2020, I was $25,000 in credit card debt and had no savings. So I get it. Times are tough out there. The stock market is crashing. But I'm here to tell you that you still have full control over your finances and your ability to make money regardless of what is happening in the world. Because the thing is right now, today is an incredible time to make money. You may have heard of this before, but right now we're in what is called the gig economy. And it's basically this free market system where literally anyone can make money, and there's a need for freelance services, part-time work, temporary jobs, contractor work, things like that. And we live in the age of the internet. So there are just so many opportunities out there. And if you know my story, you know that I used to be a chemical engineer working in the oil and gas industry. And even though I was making six figures as an oil and gas engineer, I think I ended at $130,000 a year, I was still in $25,000 worth of credit card debt in 2020. And that's after I'd been working for a year. But then I had this whole, existential crisis and got really serious about hitting my goals faster, paying off my debt, saving up for a property. Now, while I was an engineer, I had multiple jobs. So I was an engineer by day and I was doing a whole lot of other things by night, during lunchtime, all of it. And we're going to go over some of them today. But by doing all of that, it allowed me to pay off my $25,000 worth of credit card debt in 8 months and save up for my first investment property. So in literally less than a year, I had paid off all my debt and I was under contract on my first investment property. And it's crazy because I literally teach all of my students. So I have a coaching program. It's called, if you haven't heard of it, it's called WWA, the Wanderlust Wealth Academy. And in there, I teach you how to buy your first investment property, start house hacking or buying an out-of-state investment, and just get started investing in real estate. And just this last month in July, we actually did a 30-day challenge in the program, and everyone kind of created their own challenge for themselves. And one of my students, Carolina, she paid off $17,000 worth of credit card debt in 30 days just by doing this 30-day challenge that we had within the program, which is absolutely insane. But that just shows you the power of community and the power that happens when you actually put your mind and set your mind to something. Because yes, times are tough. Yes, the economy is doing its weird thing right now, but you still have the power within yourself to change your situation. So today, I'm going to be going over 7 different creative ways that you can make money for your next down payment for your first investment property or for your next investment property. And it's cool because some of these are based off of my own things that I've done. Some of these are based off of stuff that my students have done in order to get their first property. So these are just some things that you can do to make some extra money and put some money aside to either pay off debt or save up for an investment property. Also, if you didn't know, I actually have a whole $7 guide. If you go to my Instagram and my link in bio thing, there's a whole $7 guide there called the Wealthy Way Roadmap. And it really goes through and outlines a ton of different steps that you can take to do the same, like get out of debt and start saving for your first investment property. So if you're in that season of life, that is totally okay. I made it literally a $7 guide for you. So feel free to go and check that out over there. Now, when looking at these 7 creative strategies that we're going to be talking about today, I'm going to be evaluating them on a few different things. So the one is going to be ease of entry. The second is going to be execution difficulty. And the third is going to be career potential. Okay. And we can go over that a little. So ease of entry is how easy is it to actually get started in that thing? Because all of these different side hustles have their different level of eases of getting into. So keep that in mind. The second being execution difficulty. So how hard is it to actually do the thing, right? Because some things, it's easy to get started, it's easy to do, but to actually get good at it and actually make a good amount of money from it is kind of difficult. And then career potential. Like, is this something that could actually be a long-term career, like a side hustle turned career? Or is this more of like a short-term side hustle? Like, you're probably not going to make this a career. Because I remember that's what I was thinking about when I was really taking into consideration what side hustles I wanted to do. Because in general, I was trying to look for things that could potentially turn into a career or lead me into a career, a different career change. Because I was over my engineering job, wanted to get out of it. So keep these in mind. Okay, the first creative strategy that you can use is tutoring. Now, this isn't new. Y'all, I have been tutoring since college. So I tutored all throughout college and tutored all throughout grad school and even tutored while I was working my engineering job. And so I personally tutored, well, I think during college, I tutored in Spanish and Portuguese. I tutored college students. But then in grad school and after grad school, when I was working, I actually tutored really young students. So from, I think it was middle school to high school students, just because they paid better. It's like their parents were paying, so they paid better. Tutoring was such an easy way to make extra money. I was making $50 an hour tutoring. Now, in terms of ease of entry, I would give this a 9. Like, it's really not hard to get started tutoring. You can either join like a tutoring agency or you can just list your services, like go to a local school, maybe talk to someone's parents. If you are like working in corporate, you could talk to your coworkers, see if they need a tutor, if it's for math, if it's for science, if it's for whatever, for Spanish, right? That is such an easy way to make extra money. Now, execution difficulty, I would probably give this like a 4. It's really not hard to be a tutor. Some people may not be great tutors, but it's really not hard to be a tutor. You just kind of have to know what you're talking about. And if it's like you're tutoring math, just actually know your math, right? Don't tutor in something that you don't know how to do yourself, you know? Now, career potential, I'm going to give this a 5 because I know people who are full-time tutors. And then I also know people who've created tutoring agencies, which is a great way to actually create a business around tutoring and make that a full-fledged like career, right? Now, I give it a 5 because most people who go into tutoring don't really want to tutor for the rest of their lives, right? Like it's kind of that intermediary job that you're going to do while you're figuring out what you actually want to do. For me, it was just a way to make some extra money, right? So career potential is a 5, but you can make it a full-time career. Okay. Number 2, Uber driver. Now, this is literally exactly what the gig economy is all about, right? Like you have Uber contracts drivers, like 1099 employees to work for them and drive people around. There are some people who Uber drive full freaking time. Also, Uber drivers generally a lot of the time have nicer cars than I do. Okay. But I remember I actually dated someone in grad school and he did part-time Uber driving on the side when he wasn't in grad school. And he would make a good amount, especially he would time it specifically for the weekends and make sure that it all lined up. So if you do it right, you can actually make a good chunk of change. In terms of ease of entry, I'm going to give it a 7 because really all you need is a car. Anyone could be an Uber driver. I think they do go through different checks to make sure that you qualify and that your car is actually like if your car is beaten down and struggling, like my car. Guys, I hate cars. I'm not a car girl. I am running my tiny little old 2014 Nissan Sentra to the ground as much as I possibly can and avoiding buying a new car just because I just don't like cars, right? So Uber driving was not something that I wanted to do. I don't like driving. But if you're a person who doesn't mind driving, the cool thing about it is like you can listen to podcasts while you're driving. You can actually, be productive in between drives and things like that. So that's an interesting one to do. Relatively easy to get in. Anyone can be an Uber driver if you just like meet the specific requirements that they have and which aren't that hard, In terms of execution difficulty, I'd give it like a 3. It's not very hard to be an Uber driver, but can be pretty lucrative. Now you are going to be capped by the number of hours in the day, right? Like there isn't unlimited earning potential from it, which is why in terms of career potential, I'm giving it a 4. You could be a full-time Uber driver. That's the same thing as being a taxi driver, really. But you are limited by the number of hours in a day, right? Like you don't have unlimited time to rake in money from Uber driving. However, you could create a business less around Uber driving, but around like the car rental chauffeur experience, but that's becoming less and less common because of Uber, right? So career potential, we're going to give that a 4. Okay, the third creative strategy that you can use to save up money for a down payment or pay off debt is being a plasma donor. Now, this one I actually got from one of my students, Devlin, who actually did this in order to save up some extra money to pay for her down payment on her second property. Now, with donating plasma, you can make like up to $200 in a week just by doing this, which is crazy. So you can literally go donate plasma and go to different banks, right, in order to do this and make like probably up to a couple $1,000s just by doing that, which is huge. And think about it. If you're house hacking and you're putting either 0% down or 3.5% down on a property, you may only need like $10,000 and you can get 20% of the way there just by donating plasma, which is huge. Now, in terms of ease of entry, pretty easy, right? Not too hard to donate plasma unless you really hate needles, but they don't really have too many requirements. You just have to have like the right, medical history. So sometimes they won't let you, just an FYI. Execution difficulty, gonna give that a 2, not particularly hard. You can literally go online right now, Google it. You'll find plasma donation banks in your area and go ahead and get started. Once again, you probably are gonna have to fill out some sort of form or all of that. So that's like the mild barrier to entry to get in, but generally not very hard to actually execute unless you really hate needles. Then it could suck. Career potential, we're gonna give this a 1. You cannot actually make a real career from donating plasma. I don't know. Maybe you can. Maybe there's someone out there who's doing it. But for most people, I would say probably not something you want to make a career out of.
Okay, so I have something so freaking exciting for you. You guys already know how much I love real estate investing. It's literally given me the freedom to quit my corporate job, start this podcast, and become a full-time entrepreneur. Now, if you've been looking to get into real estate investing, particularly if you want to buy something like a duplex, triplex, or a fourplex, or even just a large house with multiple rooms, live in part of it, rent other parts of it out. That way you can live for free and travel the world. I actually have a program called the Wanderlust Wealth Academy where I help people do exactly that. And in that program, it takes you from figuring out your strategy to buying your first property within 6 months. So if that's something you want to do, I want you to message me on Instagram and send me the word START to learn more about it. Or you can go to the link in the show notes and book a call with me or my team so that we can go over all the details. So you know where to find me. Now let's dive back into the show.
Okay, now on to creative strategy number 4. And so the strategies 1 to 5 here, these are going to be more like gig strategies, things that are kind of random, right? And then the last 2, those are going to be more real estate related. So I really want you to pay attention to these different options and see which one really resonates with you. Okay, so number 4, you can actually sell your eggs. Now, this one of my students, Kat, we were doing a round robin because, some folks were struggling figuring out how they were going to make an extra couple $1,000s. So we were going around in a circle talking about how people have made extra money. And Kat goes, yeah, I've sold my eggs a couple of times. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is a big one. And now note that there are some like complications that can happen with donating your eggs. So I'm not telling you to go out there and sell your eggs. Okay. But if you qualify and if you've gone through the process and you think that your body's going to be okay with it, because at the end of the day, you are an adult and you have full control over your body, this could be a really great way. Kat's already made over 25,000, not 2,500, $25,000 selling her eggs. Excuse me. And then I know of one of my friend's sisters, she got paid $50,000 for one egg retrieval, like one egg retrieval process, which is crazy. So if you want to save up money, if you want to pay off debt, that could be a really interesting method you could take. Once again, I'm not a doctor. I don't know the implications. Do your research, do your Googling, but it could be a really interesting option for you. In terms of ease of entry, I'm going to give this a 5, right? Probably even a 6, because it is easy to get in the sense like you don't need any particular skills or you don't need to go take a class or anything like that in order to go sell your eggs or donate your eggs, right? They say donate, but you may get money off of it. So sell them. But let me tell you, you have to go through a very long, rigorous intake form and a lot of different steps to make sure that you can even qualify to donate your eggs. And if you get through certain steps, so even if you don't at the end sell your eggs or donate your eggs, there are different steps you can get to and still get paid a couple $100 or $1,000 just for getting up to that step. So just keep that in mind. You could go through most of that process and not actually do anything to your body and still make a few bucks. So know that. In terms of execution difficulty, I'm going to give this a 5 as well, because the difficult part is that it can be really hard on your body, okay? More than anything else. And for some people, it's apparently kind of difficult to get accepted. So you have to go through the process to actually get accepted. Is the actual process of getting it difficult? Not necessarily. Once again, you don't need a crazy skill or anything like that in order to get it. Anyone technically can go and do it. It just can be really tough on your body. So for me personally, I was I would rather not do that to my body. Maybe if I was 23, that would be something I'd be considering. But as someone who is approaching 30, not really on my radar. But literally one of my students is going this month and doing it again and making a few extra $1,000 there. And the cool thing is that you actually get payment, a per diem payment and a stipend, and they fly you out there. So you kind of get a free trip out of it. Career potential, we're going to give this a straight 1. This cannot be a career. Your body will stop producing eggs. Also, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a viable career. Maybe, once again, maybe there is someone out there making a whole career out of it. But in my eyes, I generally don't see it as a long-term solution for making money. You know what I mean? Okay, so the 5th strategy is actually becoming a social media manager. Now, one of my students, Siam, this is what she actually did and was able to make up to an extra $1,000 a month being a social media manager. Now, especially nowadays, every single business out there knows the importance of social media. So everyone, literally everyone is looking for a good social media manager. Here's the thing. You actually got to be good. If you have no idea what you're doing, this is going to be really difficult. Maybe start by trying to grow your own account or trying to grow someone else's account for free. That way you can start getting paid for it. But that is such a good way also to make some extra money, literally from home. I actually did social media management as well for a real estate agent for a while when I was still saving up money to buy my first property. I was making an extra $500 a month just for doing social media management for this other real estate agent. So that adds up, remember? Ease of entry, we're going to give it a 6. It's not the easiest to get into because you, especially nowadays, you do have to have some experience. People want someone with experience. Even when I look to hire someone for social media, I'm like, okay, show me accounts that you've grown. I want to see what you've done, etc. So if you have no experience doing that, it's going to be really difficult to get hired. In terms of execution difficulty, I'm actually giving this a 6 because people think social media is really easy. Y'all, it is not. It is an effort. And it's so funny because I'll have friends that will try it for a little and they're like, oh my gosh, this is so much work. I'm like, yeah, I know. It is a lot of work. So yeah, just an FYI. It's not the easiest one to do, but it's fun and you can do it from home. If you know what you're doing, if you're good at that stuff, it can be a really easy, quote unquote, easy extra side hustle for you. In terms of career potential, I'm actually going to give this an 8 because there is so much opportunity with being a social media manager. If you get really good at this, you are going to have people banging down on your door, and you can create a giant business from this. So there really is so much opportunity. Honestly, now thinking about it even further, I would give this a 10 in terms of career opportunity because there's so much opportunity out there. The thing is, social media is getting more and more difficult, so you have to be good. Okay, so the next 2 are actually 2 strategies you can use to make extra money that are revolved around real estate. Now, I personally like doing strategies that are adjacent to what I want to get into because I know for me, I really wanted to become a real estate investor. And I was like, okay, what ways can I get in the game and learn, but still make money from it, right? What ways can I get paid to learn the thing that I actually want to do? So that's why I kind of like these next 2 strategies. Okay. The first one is actually becoming a real estate agent or a real estate agent's assistant. Because once again, you are getting paid to learn. I remember I was in my $25,000 worth of credit card debt. I was like, real estate could be a career I may want to go into. I've been kind of thinking about it. It seems fun-ish, right? Did I necessarily want to be a real estate agent for the rest of my life? At the time, not necessarily, but it was an option. It was a way out of engineering. And so it seemed like a great idea. And it 100% was. And by doing that, I was able to like get out of credit card debt and really focus on saving for my first investment property. Now, in terms of ease of entry, I'm going to give this a 4, okay? Because you do have to take a full class in order to get your real estate license, like either an online class that will take you at least a few weeks, sometimes even a few months. And you also have to take a test. And it costs like $2,000 to get your license. So it's not like some of those other things where you can kind of just like sign up and you're in, right? Like you have to put the work and the effort in towards getting your real estate license. So it's not the easiest to get into. In terms of execution difficulty, I'm giving this a solid 9. It is not easy being a real estate agent. People think it's easy being a real estate agent, but you have to have the hustle. You have to have the drive. You have to have the desire. There are so many real estate agents out there, and like, I don't know the statistics off the top of my head, but like over 60% of them never make a dime. It is not a joke. It is very serious. You act essentially like a lawyer in a lot of different situations without actually having a law degree. So being a real estate agent is a hustle. In terms of difficulty, it is definitely on the higher side, and which is why so many people fail at it, even though, you know, things like selling sun to set make it look super fun, glamorous, and easy. However, it is such a great career. And if you're dedicated, if you're like willing to put the work and the time in, even if it's part-time, like I did it part-time, but I was focused and I was, I was engineer by day, real estate agent by night, and all other hours, right? It can be super lucrative. And you can learn a lot and meet a lot of cool people and just be exposed to a whole new world. In terms of career potential, I am giving this a 10 because this can be a really incredible, lucrative, multi-million-dollar career that you can have by being a real estate agent. Easy. Like, not easy, but it's so possible. And the sky is literally the limit. There is no cap. You can take this to the moon if you are focused and dedicated. So being a real estate agent, such a great option. I think in my first year, I made about $30,000, and this is part-time outside of my engineering job, but I was hustling. Like, I was really hustling. So just know that that is another option for you. And I still use my real estate license to this day because once you have your real estate license, there's so many ways that you can use it. I use mine just for referrals now. I literally just closed on a $4,000 referral. I'm getting another $2,500 referral this week or next week sometime soon. But yeah, it's a great extra strategy. Now, the final way to make, and this is number 7, the final way to make some extra money so that you can pay off your credit card debt, you can pay off your student debt, you can save up for your next down payment, is to actually be a co-host. And this is a property manager, a co-host as in the short-term rental business. It can be so freaking lucrative. And just a great way to get started and get around real estate investing, understand the processes, the systems, without actually being out of pocket any money yourself. Like, you can start this with $0 yourself. Now, ease of entry, I'm giving this a 6 because it's not as easy as it used to be, because now people are looking, it's kind of like with the social media manager, people are looking for people with experience. So you need to get out there and get experience. So find someone who's going to take a chance on you or go help a family member, or actually manage your personal property, get your first property and manage that yourself so that you can show that you are capable of managing them. That's going to be your entryway into being a co-host. In terms of execution difficulty, I'm giving this a 4 because being a co-host is not hard, but can be stressful. It is not difficult, but it can be really stressful. And so we're giving this a 4, potentially even a 5. Because anyone, once again, literally anyone can be a property manager. You have to learn, there are skills you do have to learn, but anyone can learn them, and it just takes experience to learn them. And in terms of career potential, I'm honestly going to give this a 10. Like, once again, you can take this to the moon. You want to scale it big enough, you can start outsourcing. You can start hiring VAs. You can really put systems and processes in place and keep adding properties or just getting better and better and better properties as you go. I've seen so many people do this. So it's a really great way to get in the industry and make extra money. Like literally, prop co-hosts make 25% of overall revenue from Airbnb hosts. Like the revenue that they make, let's say they make $10,000 a month, then you get 25% of that. That's $2,500 in your pocket. Like just straight up. Amazing. Let's say even someone's making $4,000, you manage for them, you get $1,000 a month, which is huge. That's amazing. Who wouldn't want another extra $1,000 a month in their pocket? So those are just 7 really creative strategies that you can use to make money for your next investment property. There are so many other ways out there. I actually even have in the Wanderlust Wealth Academy a whole PDF that has 100 different things, different side hustles you can do to make money, to save money for your next investment property or to pay off credit card debt, whatever you need that money for. I hope you found this to be useful. I hope you're inspired. I hope you get out there, find yourself a side hustle, try different things. You might not get it right the first time. Try different things and then take one and start running with it. Don't forget, if you found this to be useful, make sure to share this. This is the only way that this podcast grows is if you share it. Post it on your story if you enjoyed it. I want to see what you're listening in on, what you're resonating with. I hope you found this to be useful and keep me posted in the DMs, fam. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to Wanderlust Wealth Show. Now, don't forget to follow the podcast, or if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you love this episode, it would literally mean the world to me if you shared this with a friend or a family member or literally like anyone off of the street. Like right now, go ahead, share it so you don't forget, or post it on social media and make sure to tag me. I love seeing what you're listening in on and what you resonated with, and I'm just so freaking thankful for you. I'm so freaking excited for you. I love you, and don't forget, life really doesn't have to be hard.